Good morning and welcome to Circuit 13, Circuit Advisory Board with Juvenile Justice. I would like to call this meeting to order. It is exactly 10:02 a.m. And as such, this is our first relaunch of the Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board. We will go ahead and do attendance. I'm aware that we may not have quorum, what have you, but I believe it would be beneficial to do attendance. Thank you, sir. I am Kelly Hammersley. I'm Chief Probation Officer with Juvenile Justice and also the chair of the CAB. And I will start with my left.
Ryan Egg, DJJ, Circuit 13, Probation Assistant Chief.
Sandra Pinckney, Department of Juvenile Justice.
Hillsborough County Commissioner Donna Cameron Cepeda.
Irene Maslenik, Deputy Chief of Juvenile for the State Attorney's Office, here on behalf of Travis Coy.
Michelle Book with the Public Defender's Office, here on behalf of Antina Mobley.
Heather Cazzola, Hillsborough County Children's Services.
Sarah Grimmick, Hillsborough County Children's Services.
Hi, I'm Ruth Power with Success for Kids and Families. I'm here for Pam Jeffrey.
Good morning. I'm Clara Reynolds with the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay.
Captain Michael Kuetner with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
Reverend Dr. Glenn Dames, pastor of Allen Temple AME Church, representing the faith community.
Chrissy Dorian, Hillsborough County Public Schools.
I am Angie Smith, and I am here on behalf of Gina Justice and Court Administration.
Good morning, Davita Boyd, CNJPO Detention Coordinator.
Rob Parkinson, Hillsborough County Criminal Justice.
Good morning, all. If you would please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this point, I would like to request a motion for adoption of the agenda that's before us today.
Glenn Dames, move adoption.
And I second.
Thank you. Agenda is adopted. So as such, we're going to go forward with our new business, and that's a PowerPoint presentation that I will be providing to the members and community. I'll give Ryan a chance to get up there. And everybody has a handout for this PowerPoint today. And at the conclusion of the meeting, I will be forwarding out all the materials that are discussed today at this board meeting. So as the effect of House Bill 1425, there have been legislative changes, which encompasses the uniformity and enhancement of CAB functions. This became effective July 1st, 2024. The legislation brings several important changes to the CABs to enhance the mission and original legislative intent of the CABs to work in collaboration with the department and facilitate data sharing that informs program improvements and policy changes. The role of the CABs is to be advisors to the department on a circuit level that does not change with this legislation. CAB chair and CAB membership. The Chief Probation Officer is the chair of the CAB to facilitate seamless communication between the CAB and the department, especially with data trends for each circuit. Community members on the board are reduced from up to 5 to up to 3 to ensure these positions are filled on each CAB statewide. All statutorily required members of the CAB remain the same. Limits on board membership terms are removed. Uniform bylaws are developed for use by all CABs. The administrative duties includes comprehensive plans for the circuit are no longer required. Recommendations for public and private grants, including the Community Juvenile Justice Partnership grants, are no longer required. Annual reports for the CAB are no longer required. Innovation zones, CABs will still submit proposals to the Secretary for innovation zones through the Chief Probation Officer. CABs are no longer required to establish appropriate community service programs to be submitted to the Alternative Sanctions Coordinator. This duty shifts to the department. And at the conclusion of this PowerPoint, we can do questions and answers, and I can give more information. Our bylaws. The mission of the Florida Circuit Advisory Boards is to help youth and families reach their full potential, become positive contributors to society by supporting and advising the department in the efficient implementation of the 4 cornerstones, which include build a world-class talented team that ensures a culture of excellence across the system, deploy data-informed decision-making across the service continuum, ensure high-quality implementation of evidence-based practices system-wide, accelerate academic achievement and post-secondary success for Florida's youth. Article 1, Section 2, our purpose is to support and provide recommendations to improve DJJ initiatives that reinforce our mission to help children and families reach their full potential and become positive contributors to society. Assist programs and help support at-risk youth by stressing the need for high-quality intervention and prevention programming policies to improve student outcomes, and by encouraging enhanced educational opportunities for students and their families to keep communities safe. Provide advice to the Department of Juvenile Justice in the development and implementation of juvenile justice programs, and to work collaboratively with DJJ to seek program improvements and policy changes to address the emerging needs of Florida's youth. Article 1, Section 3, Duties and Responsibilities. Operate as the advisory board to the DJJ for the purpose of implementing a circuit plan that supports the department's initiatives. Submit recommendations to the department for at least one innovation zone within the circuit for the purpose of implementing any experimental pilot, demonstration project that furthers the department's goals. Participate in the facilitation of interagency cooperation and information sharing. Discuss and implement circuit-level initiatives that support the statewide goals. So, Article 2, Section 1, the composition. Statutorily required membership designees include the state attorney, public defender, chief judge, Department of Children and Families, sheriff in our county is Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, police chief, we have in our county Tampa Police Department, county commissioner, superintendent of each school district, workforce organization, business community representative, a youth representative under the age of 21 or younger, faith community representative, health services representative, a family member of a DJJ-involved youth, past or current, and other community representatives, at least 3. Article 2, Section 2, membership. Members, CAB members, to attend regularly scheduled meetings. 3 or more consecutive meetings without notice is deemed a resignation. The board chair shall appoint members to vacant seats within 45 days. Membership roster should always be up to date, and all members are required to actively serve on a minimum of 1 subcommittee. Article 3, Section 1, officers. The officers of the board shall be a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. The chair shall be the chief probation officer within the circuit. The vice chair and secretary shall be elected. Nominations should be taken and a vote by the board to follow. Article 3, Section 2, roles and responsibilities. The board chair shall have the following powers and duties: conduct all meetings of the board and executive committee, excuse absences of members, create and terminate ad hoc committees, be an ex officio member of all committees, appoint and remove at will the committee chair and committee members. The vice chair shall have the following powers and duties: analyze the committee membership to advise of key partners that may be vital to the fulfillment of the committee goal, recruit new members, advise the chair of community needs. The secretary shall have the following duties: ensure public notices of all regular and special meetings are provided, I should say, ensure the minutes are prepared and distributed, collect and keep all board meeting sign-in sheets, maintain a current board membership list, prepare correspondence as directed by the board or the chair. The secretary's duties will be supported by the department. Article 3, Section 3, Executive Committee. The Executive Committee is established and shall consist of the board chair, vice chair, the secretary, and the chair of each standing subcommittee. The Executive Committee shall have the following powers and duties: serve in a leadership capacity to the board, promote the board's continuous cooperative working relationship with governmental and private agencies to support the best interests of the board. Behind here, guys. Article 4, Section 4, Subcommittees. For example, we have a data-driven decision-making, review local data trends, and work to implement measures to address and reduce juvenile delinquency. For example, delinquency citation issuances. Another example is student achievement, review trends and identifies methods to accelerate academic achievement and post-secondary success for youth within the circuit. For example, student enrollment rates, attendance rates, rates of transitions to post-secondary options. And Article 4, Code of Ethics. Members shall be subject to the provisions of Chapter 112, Florida Statute, Part 3, Florida Statute, to the extent required by applicable law, and shall conduct themselves accordingly. Compensation. Members shall receive no compensation for service. Article 6, Section 1, Government and Sunshine Provisions. The board shall comply with the Sunshine Law. All meetings shall be noticed with agenda if available to the public 7 days before each meeting or as soon as practical. Members of the public shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The chair may waive time restrictions. The chair shall periodically give space for members of the public to speak. All members of the public attending in person who wish to speak must first complete a public comment form and submit it to the CAB chair. We're still on Article 6, Section 2. Regular board meetings shall be held at least once every 3 months. Only matters which are contained in the meeting agenda may be voted on at the meeting. Article 6, Section 3, Executive Committee meetings may be held as needed. Prepare for the regular board meeting, confirm agenda, review supporting documentation, and determine if any additional information may be needed. Article 6. Yeah, thank you. Section 4, minutes. All minutes shall be noticed 7 days prior to the next regular board meeting. Any amendments to the minutes shall be addressed during the next regular board meeting for consideration and approval. All meetings shall be shared with the committee members prior to the next meeting. Article 6, Section 5, quorum. There must be a quorum to vote. A quorum is at least 1/2 of the members. A passing vote must receive a majority vote of the members present for adoption. Article 6, Section 6, absences. A member unable to attend a scheduled CAB meeting shall notify the chair as soon as practical. CAB members are expected to attend 4 meetings annually. A CAB member may be removed by the chair for failing to attend 4 or more consecutive regular meetings within a 12-month period. Article 6, Section 7, proxy voting. A member may not vote by proxy. Article 6, Section 8, order of business. Call to order, roll call, pledge of allegiance, approval of minutes from previous meeting, any unfinished business, reports by the standing committees, new business, public comment, confirmation of next meeting and location, and adjournment. The order of business may be temporarily set aside by the chair. And parliamentary authority. The rules and procedures contained in the most current edition of Robert's Rules of Order shall govern the activities of the board in all cases to which they are applicable, provided, however, that Robert's rules shall not be applicable to the extent they are inconsistent with Section 985.664 Florida statute or the bylaws. Article 7, conflict of interest. CAB members must comply with financial and voting conflict of interest disclosure requirements in Chapter 112 Florida statutes. Any CAB member who are affiliated with an actual or potential grant recipient in the following descriptions must notify the CAB chair immediately and recuse themselves from all discussion and voting with which they are affiliated. These individuals shall not receive any compensation of any kind resulting from a grant award or renewal. A relative, employee, recipient of any form of compensation, director or officer. Article 7, fiscal year. The fiscal year of the board shall be based on a fiscal year July 1st to June 30th. Article 8, bylaws amendments. Amendments to the bylaws shall be made only at the discretion of DJJ. Article 9, retention of records. All public records shall be retained in accordance with Chapters 119 and 257 Florida statutes, Section 1B-24, Florida Administrative Code, and Policy and Procedure, DJJ 1316. Final slide. Membership recruitment. Who are we missing? Best ways to recruit. Subcommittee selection, reviewing subcommittee focus to determine which best aligns with your expertise. Public comment. Amendments to the bylaws shall be made only at the discretion of DJJ. And naturally, our next meeting, which will be Friday, November 15, 2024, 10 a.m. at County Center, 601 East Kennedy Boulevard, 26th floor, Conference Room B, Tampa, Florida, 33602. So, at this point, we can go ahead if all members that are present would like to go through the bylaws and have discussion on that as it applies to your involvement. Questions? It's a bit of a change. The secretary has approved the bylaws, and upon his signature, we would naturally forward that out. But these are the bylaws for all circuits throughout the state, CABs. Yes, sir. Mr. Parkinson?
Honestly, in your next steps, you say, who are we missing? At this juncture, you have a somewhat substantive list of folks who re-signed up for the CAB. I know we've had some attrition as well.
Yes.
So my question is, what positions are we actually missing and which ones do we need to fill?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. So prior to this meeting being conducted, I reached out to our most recent CAB members and provided the newest membership nomination/designee appointment form. And at this point, the following individuals have been approved for board membership. For the State Attorney's Office, it is Travis Coy. For the Public Defender's Office, it is Antina Mobley. For the Chief Judge, it is Gina Justice. For the Department of Children and Families, it is Beth Pasick. For the Sheriff's Department, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, it is Captain Michael Kuetner. For the Police Chief, Tampa Police Department, it is Lieutenant Robin Polk. For the School Superintendent, it is Chrissy Dorian. For our workforce organization, it is Career Source Conchita Canty-Jones. For our faith community, it is Reverend Dr. Glenn Dames, Jr. For our community representatives, up to 3, these 3 have been approved. Sarah Grimmig from Children's Services, Clara Reynolds from the Crisis Center, and Robert Parkinson. At this point, we are still seeking membership nomination forms from County Commissioner, which we were just able to provide that to you today, so we can have a conversation about that. Yes, a member, a representative from our business community. I do not have that filled at this particular time. A youth representative. Likewise, a parent or family member of a justice-involved youth. And lastly, a member designee from health services. When we speak of health services, that would be something in line with mental health, behavioral health, crisis intervention. Take that back. Agency affiliated with victim services of that nature. So those are the missing members at this point. But I do want to thank and acknowledge everybody that has been very supportive, that has taken on this opportunity to be part of our board with the membership. Questions, Mr. Parkinson?
So it looks like we have 4 slots we need to fill, in summary.
Yes.
Business community youth representative, health
Yes.
services representative, family member of involved youth. I think the health services representative position is going to be pretty easy to fill. The other ones will be a little bit more challenging.
Yes, and our prior experience with the CAB, the youth representative and the parent of a youth involved was a bit of a challenge. We were able to get, those parties present. We will also reach out to any of our community providers that work with youth to see if we have some movement there or a child that would like to participate and is available to participate. That was really the key component, is their availability to participate on these meetings. And of course, I would take any information, if anybody has any resources or somebody that I may be missing, to reach out to see if they would, like to participate, particularly when we look at the business community and health services. Ms. Dorian?
I know that PACE had some students come last year, and that was pretty successful. I'm wondering if maybe Davia would have a student that would want to be part of it.
Good point.
Definitely something we can think about. I think the challenge is the academic time and being able to be here.
Thank you. Ms. Reynolds?
I was just going to say, if it would be easier, I'm happy to switch under to a health services representative if you need that, because I do sit in both camps. So whatever's best for the board.
Very good. I think that's a practical solution. Mr. Parkinson? I'm just putting it out there
I
to you.
concur. I mean, filling that slot would be easy, and then it would leave a vacant position for a community representative. That gives you a lot more latitude in locating someone that's willing to serve.
And I will accept that. We will just revise your application as it is, and then we will have an option for another community representative to take part as well.
Thank you. Kelly, Sarah.
Yes, Sarah.
It's just my recommendation that if we're going to have an opening in a community representative, that we reach out to our CBC. I think it's a vital role to have somebody from the CBC in this space.
Thank you.
I don't know if that was a motion, but if it was, I second it. That's I think about some of the historical problem solving that we've done on dual system kids, and it's imperative that we have the CBC here.
Motion approved. So as we go through, the next order of business would be, I don't believe we have quorum here today officially to vote. but we will need to have a vice chair. We will also need to have a secretary. DJ Sander Pinckney is filling in today as interim to assist the CAB, and we appreciate her taking the time out of her schedule to do that. But that will be our next order of business. Mr. Parkinson?
I think you might have a chair. I think there's a total of 17 members with the new configuration, and, I'm sorry, not a chair. Quorum, thank you. So 50% of that would be 8 plus 1.
Well, my understanding is that in order to have quorum, it must be the actual member or designee, not a person that's just covering an absence of for voting purposes. So we can do the count right now. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can I have the hand of folks that are approved members?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.
And you're a member too.
I can't vote.
You can vote, you just can't make motions. You have to pass the gavel.
We have quorum.
By one.
Thank you for your guidance.
I'm not very good at math, but every now and then.
Thank you so much. And this is a new experience for myself as taking on this responsibility on behalf of the department. So it is definitely a learning experience, and I appreciate your guidance and wisdom. So now we do have quorum to where we could.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
if it's in order, I'd like to nominate Mr. Rob Parkinson as vice chair.
I second.
Who second?
That would be me.
Sarah Grimmin. Notate that, second. Mr. Parkinson, do you accept that nomination?
I would accept the nomination.
With that being said, can we have a vote of all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say no. Congratulations, sir. You are the vice chair for the Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We appreciate you taking on that role. I truly do appreciate you taking on that role. And I don't know that we have any nominations at this point or any discussion, and this may be something that, consideration for any possible candidates for the secretary's position. That is something that we may need to table for our next meeting if we don't have any nominations at this point. But I would encourage everybody that's a participant of the board, and we'll have naturally more board members joining us, to consider that as an opportunity to assist with the CAB and its operations and functioning. Until then, I would have to have a representative from the department take the minutes on my behalf and act as secretary as interim. Okay. Just gonna make notes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, doctor.
in your, in the slide presentation, you mentioned that the secretary position would be supported by the department. I'm sorry, thank you. I got it from Rob, right? You mentioned that the secretary's role would be supported by the department, and I guess I'm just curious as to how that's supported by the department.
Thank you, sir. Well, how it'd be supported by the department is the chair actually providing the primary support in addition to the vice chair. As far as, for example, for today's meeting, I've drafted the initial outline for the minutes for the secretary to have to fill out completely. The agenda, the department creates that. That's the chair that creates the actual agenda. The sign-ins, rosters for the CAB membership, community partners, and also the public comment sheets. So the secretary would gather all that information at the conclusion of the meetings and provide it to the CAB chair, to where I would have that information. All this information from each CAB is shared with DJJ in a share content folder. So we all have that to keep that fluid and available pursuant to the sunshine laws. So they're just maintaining our membership list, communicating with myself, determining if quorum does exist. That would be the secretary that would take that on for future meetings by going through the membership roster list. And also, if they are involved in participating on the executive board member meeting, and have some oversight for the subcommittee meetings. So, does that answer your
It does,
inquiry?
thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Parkinson.
I do have a question. In the past, we would submit our minutes to DJJ, and they would upload them on the state CAB website so that people can see them across the state.
Yes.
Is that going to continue?
Yes, with the assistance of Karen Butterfield with DJJ, who is present today. We will be uploading a lot into SharePoint, and that there's a process in which it goes to the public website access, and for all future CAB meeting notices and agendas.
And that was my next question. So a public notice will be
Yes.
going out through that system as well?
Yes.
So
Mhm. In
it's
addition
not
to
like
myself
whoever
sending
decides
out.
to be secretary will have to
No,
get an
no.
account with St. Pete Times, and we're going to go through the
No,
DJJ system?
no, it goes to public notice, and also, as the chair, I would forward that information out as well to all members, all persons on a general line copy email distribution listing.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Reynolds?
Well, Chair, with some assistance, I'm happy to take on the secretarial duties if nobody else would like to do it.
I second.
Ms. Clara Reynolds, do you accept the position of secretary?
I'd be honored, thank you.
May I have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those in opposition? Congratulations and thank you. Thank you, Secretary Reynolds. We really appreciate your
problem, thank you.
participation. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking notes, although we are also taking minutes here. I just want to take my own. Well, excellent, very good. So now, when we talk about, we've been going through our next steps, our member recruitment, subcommittee selection. At this point, we don't have a subcommittee because we really got to focus on what our committee is going to actually encompass. What are our goals as we go through that? And we're not at this stage at this point. And I also did want to discuss the innovation zones. So that's kind of a new item. And I believe that everybody may have already received a handout. And naturally, this will also be forwarded to all invitees. It's the department's innovation zone, and I can actually go through that a little bit more in depth. I just want to make sure that I have that here. If you bear with me just a moment.
Kelly, this is Sarah. I have a question before we get into innovation zones. So in administrative process, it says we no longer have to do a community plan, but then we're required to do these circuit plans. Is this template going to be a part of what that plan's supposed to look like now that we don't have to do any other planning?
I believe that is accurate, but I really would like to get further clarification from my coordinator, more or less. I know that doesn't answer it wholly, but I don't want to speak out of turn if I don't have the correct information to provide. So the innovation zone, it's to encompass a defined geographic area, such as a circuit, commitment region, county municipality, service delivery area, school campus, or neighborhood providing a laboratory for the research, development, and testing of the applicability and efficiency of model programs, policy options, and new technologies for the department. So that creates an opportunity for the CAB to create an experimental pilot or a pilot that demonstrates furtherance of the department's goals. So, and my understanding is that as we move forward with our CAB members, that to develop at least one innovation zone in the months and year ahead of us, which naturally goes to the assistant secretary and the secretary of the department to approve each innovation zone in each circuit. And I know that our prior CAB, that we had many committees, the delinquency citation, previously known as civil citation, I believe our education, enhancing our education, and then also we were delving in, I'm not sure if it was an ad hoc committee or an actual committee, I believe it was a committee, for the mentorship, for the faith-based mentorship. So we have a lot of areas that we could essentially target in on and really, narrow it down to what it would be best for our community, our kiddos. So I don't know that that's a discussion for today. I believe that may be something that we need to focus on when we move forward with our future meetings. At this point, I have not confirmed a date for an executive board meeting based upon, still gaining membership, that sort of thing. I do know that our next formal meeting for the full board is in November. So it is plausible that we could potentially set a meeting for an executive committee to even have those conversations. Because after that, the subsequent meetings for the full CAB will not be until the new year. So, any insight on that at this particular point? I just want everybody to have an opportunity to inquire. If I can answer, I will, or... Yes?
I don't have any insight right now, but I do have a question. So with regard to reports, for example, like the civil citation reports, which we were producing before, are those no longer required?
Actually, no, those are no longer required. At some point, though, the next agenda will be different. It will not look like this. This was the required agenda for all CABs, starting out as the relaunch. So we do have opportunity to change and have movement and fluidity on our CAB, such as guest speaker, guest presentations, items such as that. Likewise, if we want to delve into reports from community members, such as children's services, civil citation. What were other points? I don't know that we'll be incorporating that. But that's something that I'm not saying no to. I just, because we really want to focus on the community as whole from what my information that's been provided to me. So, but I won't say no. I mean, if it's something that the board decides that it's imperative that we have that information to share with the community as well, the number of youth that are currently in our detention facilities on probation supervision.
Chief Hammersley, I think that continues to be valuable information for us for a couple of reasons. One, it helps us gauge how we're doing as a community. Civil citation, I think we still need those reports for a couple of reasons. Again, to gauge how we're doing, because that's clearly one of DJJ's priorities, is making sure that we're giving every advantage to those youth that are eligible, and we're capturing every kid that we could. We used to do those missed opportunity reports, and which helped us problem solve on that. The other issue, and we hadn't talked about this yet, but this last legislative session, Secretary Hall was able to secure funds for a new detention facility, which is very, very exciting. It's something that this CAB and the CAB before it have been advocating for years. I think about Miss Julie Holt standing up at that podium saying we need a new detention center.
Yes.
Many of you have participated in work groups, going out there and painting and doing murals, but we got the money now. So we're going to be moving to implement that in the next couple of years, siting it and building and all that. So I knowing the data on how many kids we have, what we need to do to partner to make sure that the new facility is a success, I think this group needs to be involved in that.
Thank you, sir, and I will make the adjustments for our future agendas to incorporate that there. On a side note, the department's Tableau is operational again, so we'll be able to start pulling the data for civil citation missed opportunities or delinquency diversion missed opportunities to where we can move forward with that to see where the needle needs to move.
Do you anticipate that the delinquency profile system will be updated maybe this fall? It hasn't been updated for this fiscal year yet.
Mr. Parkinson, I do not have a confirmation, an answer on that. I don't. We have an appointment from DJJ for our circuit cab, Dennis McClure. He's with Research and Data and Innovation, where he will be working with us on data and collection, and I will inquire with him.
And you've been instrumental in getting interim reports for the county so we could do our fiscal projections for detention costs, but just having that once-a-year report updated is, I think, helpful for this group as well.
Duly noted, and I will follow up on that, sir. Do we have is there any further discussion on the subcommittee selection component of the agenda today? As a provider with the Department of Juvenile Justice, you are an integral part of the Juvenile Justice Board. So I would say it's absolutely a must that your representation, I know that you're representing ACTS, Juvenile Assessment Center, and traditionally that would be the director or the CEO, COO, if they're available to come and participate, or if not, send a designee as well. So it is imperative that we do have some opportunity for the JAC to participate, not necessarily as a member, but at least part of the conversation.
And Kelly, if I can add to that, some of the critical conversations we've had in some of our subcommittees have been, we've better understood the systems based on what the JAC is experiencing from processing youth and then how the youth are diverted. So it's super important to just see that frontline information. So having you here is a great asset to all of us.
Noted, and thank you. Ms. Dorian, did you have a question?
That was going to be my exact question. Is it okay to make a recommendation that the JAC, someone from the JAC would be a member of the board, since we have so much that goes to the Juvenile Assessment Center, which we call the JAC? Mm-hmm. And then question number 2, are we going to continue the Service Excellence Award?
Okay, first let me go with I will reach out to leadership with our Juvenile Assessment Center for the CEO to make the appropriate designation as she sees fit. Okay.
And Kelly, if you look at, sorry, Rob.
Go ahead, you started.
Some of the language in here, it says up to or at least. And so if we can get confirmation on how many members we're actually allowed to add, I think that would answer Chrissy's question.
Well, and I believe we freed up one of the three community representatives, so if we had to stick the axe member into a position, it could be that, one of those.
Correct. From my understanding from prior cabs, I'm not specifically citing this prior cab, but statewide, they were unable to fill many of their positions, thus they were not essentially having quorum. And it was a hurdle. So as such, they reduced that number to where quorum could be met. And that was the whole purpose of that. So I believe that there is some wiggle room for us. And then, Ms. Dorian, your question was regarding the community-
Service Excellence Award. Service Excellence Awards.
And that was in reference to Julia Holt. I believe that would be something, do we want to discuss that now, or is that something that we would want to address as an executive board discussion on how we proceed with that?
I think it would be appropriate to talk about it now. I mean, we established it, obviously, in Ms. Holt's name and recognition of her years and dedication to the target population. I think it was a good concept. I think this group and the committee, Maria County Jones, has chaired that for the last 2 years, I think. I did it before then. We've gotten some really good candidates, and we picked some really good winners from the juvenile justice system. We've been able to recognize folks, because quite frankly, DJJ doesn't get recognized for the hard work they do. Your contract providers don't get recognized for the hard work you do. And it's just really a great opportunity to highlight those folks and their work. So.
And if I may, this is absolutely one of the Secretary's pillars of celebrating world-class talent, and it gives us an opportunity to really specifically highlight our world-class talent in our community.
With that being said, I believe that a subcommittee would need to be formed in order to request nominations, review nominations, and make determinations for the actual recipient.
Agreed. And isn't Ms. Canty Jones still on the?
Yes.
Okay. So I wonder if she would be willing to continue to serve in her capacity as chair of that committee. I turned over all the materials to her, so she has all the printed materials that just need to be updated with the dates for submissions and applications and all that. So she'd probably be able to hit the ground running.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Madam Chair, I don't know if we would be open to expansion to maybe include, I think the Secretary has done an excellent job in serving Mr. Hall. And I think it'd be good to maybe do an Eric Hall Award as well, added to the Julianne Hope in addition. So just something to ponder as we move forward with that committee.
Noted, and thank you.
This is my last comment, I promise.
It's fine.
Considering Bays to be a member from the community as well, because we do a lot of work with Bays, and they've been very active. So just another consideration as a member, community member, I guess it would be.
Thank you, and we will follow up with these great suggestions for our members. In order for any subcommittees to be formed, naturally that would be nominations and acceptance of that. I'm not comfortable with Ms. Conchita Canty Jones being elected when she's not here, nominated, but I do appreciate that.
I'd just like to point out that Ms. Holt does that to me all the time.
Yes, when you're volunteered? Yes, yes, yes. So at this point, are we in acceptance of perhaps tabling at least our subcommittees until we have more formal way of proceeding to address and identify if that's going to be at the executive board meeting? We can schedule that hopefully in October prior to the November full CAB meeting.
I would make a motion to address the appropriate subcommittees at an executive committee meeting in the coming months.
I would second it.
Motion accepted. Thank you. Secretary Pinckney, could you look and see if we have any public comments? No, we do not. Is there any other items for further discussion?
Madam Chair, it just seems like you want to give the group homework to come back. You talked about the innovation zone proposals.
Yes.
And obviously, this is a new concept to many of us, but I think the homework that you're giving us is to look at some current problems or issues that we're having in the community and make some potential proposals for
Absolutely.
innovation zone projects at our next full council meeting, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I don't mean to put you on the spot, Ms. Butterfield, but if you could you have prior experience with some of the other cabs that are currently doing their relaunch? Do you have any insight as far as proposals or innovation zones from your expertise thus far?
No, like you said, a lot of the cabs are just starting off again and kicking off a lot of their subcommittees. The innovation zone proposals will most likely come from your data-driven decision-making subcommittee as you're looking at the data and identifying some of the problems that you're having, and then, strategizing solutions and stuff from that. So you don't necessarily have to have homework right now and go home and, try to figure out the problems. As Chief had said, that Mr. McClure is going to provide you guys all with some new data. Last year in January, we kind of did like a data package, like this is what's been happening, the juvenile justice system over the last year or so. This is kind of what it looks like. So they're kind of putting together another data package that they're going to share with you guys. So that might kick off the data-driven decision-making subcommittee as we start looking at this is kind of where we're at and where do we want to go, what data do we want to drill into, and that might launch some of these innovation zone proposals.
And just, again, as sometimes my role is as a historian, when we received the data earlier this year, one of the priority focuses was on improving our civil citation numbers. And Director Royston had been serving as chair of that committee and has done some tremendous work in the intervening months to find out what we're missing and how to address those issues. So that could be low-hanging fruit for us to address for the coming year.
I agree. And she has done exceptional work.
Yes, and as Chief Hammersley indicated, our Tableau is back up. Our delinquency citation profile, it has been updated on the dashboard, so you can look at those, the new updated data for that, for pre-arrest delinquency citations, previously civil citations.
Thank you, Ms. Butterfield. I appreciate you being here today. Do we have any further order of business, topic of discussion? So we do have a little bit of homework. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all today for your participation.